artists, last week you made a self-portrait inspired by the artist Frida Kahlo. So today what we're going to do is we're going to add color. I'll give you some choices on how you can do that. So gather your supplies, your paper from last week, and let's get started. Okay artists, so you can see I've got two different ways that I've added color to my picture. This way right here I used crayon, and I worked on remembering to, because we've been working on that this year, on changing the value. Sometimes I did it in the background. Sometimes I would do it on other places like the shirt or even on my little dog Maggie here. I even add a little shadow on the neck here. And you can use colors that work out for you. When you're doing your skin, you might want to take a look, hold up your skin. I probably should have made mine a little bit darker. It's really hard to always match your skin tone perfectly, but you'll probably want to use colors like browns, maybe some oranges, some peaches, depending on the crayons that you have, what you would want to do. Now, if you're painting, you will still be using crayons just a little bit to give some outline. And so that's what I'm going to start doing on this one. And so you're going to you're not going to color everything in with crayons if you're using watercolors, but you will at least draw the outlines. And I have kind of really dark brown hair, so I'm going to start with brown. It's not quite dark enough for my hair. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of use a little bit of black, and I'm going to add some of those. Now I'm trying to think about the texture of my hair. I'm trying to just kind of give, I don't want to color it in solid because I am going to paint this in also, so I'm just kind of try to give it some texture. I'm going to do the same thing with other objects in my picture. So for example, the plants, whether it was vines that you drew last week or you drew palm trees, whatever happened to be that you drew in the background, you will want to first start off by outlining it and then think about maybe some textures that you can add to your objects. In this case, I'm adding a couple little textures for the flower petal, for the leaves. So I'm going to kind of just go around and outline everything and add a few texture marks to it. I'm not coloring it all in if I'm going to use watercolor. All right, so I will show you what that looks like when I'm all done. Okay, so I have outlined everything with a color. Notice I didn't use black for everything. I'm trying to stay away from using black just because Frida Kahlo really didn't use black to outline her things. She tried to stick with a little more realistic colors when outlining. I was focusing on textures when I was doing this. Like for example, on my dog Maggie here, she was a poodle, she had really curly hair, so I tried to use curvy lines for that. Smooth textures like my skin, it's not really a rough texture. You can just use a smooth line. You can add patterns to the shirt if you want. And if you need to add more things to the background, you can do that. It's nice to have some different things that you will be able to add color to when you're ready. Now, if you're using watercolor, I just have a tray of watercolors here and a little bit of water. And of course, you're going to need a paintbrush as well. So what you want to do first, if you have not used your watercolors in a while, is just take and add a little bit of water to the tray. I just put a little drop on each one. I've already kind of done that. And I like to start using my skin tone. Now, to make your skin tone color, I would never use one of these colors probably straight from the watercolors, but you also don't want to mix it on here because that will mess up your colors. But there's this nice space on the lid that you can use. So I'm going to just kind of add a couple drops to start with, just of clean water. And the color I usually like to, for my skin tone, I'm going to use a little bit of orange. By adding water, it's going to lighten the colors, and so that's another reason I'm going to add a little bit of brown. And then what I like to do is I like to test it on another piece of paper. Now, to me, that seems a little too brown for me, so I'm going to add a little bit of red, just a touch. I'm going to add some more water. It will kind of lighten up as it dries, too. And so you can kind of work on that, test it out another piece of, oh, that's way too dark. Add some more water, Test it out again. That's not looking too bad. All right, I think that's good enough. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that color. This is what we call a watercolor wash because you have lots of water in it and it's mostly water and just a little bit of paint. The nice thing about outlining with crayons is it will kind of help you keep inside the colors. Use just the tip of your brush to paint with today. And paint kind of quickly on the skin because you don't want it to dry. Make sure you're getting all the things. Now, if you have glasses like I do, just paint right over those. I'm going to not paint inside the eyes. That part of my eye is going to stay white. And then I have the iris a totally different color. Paint right up to your hairline. Paint my ears. They're the same color. The nice thing too is if this is still wet and you want to add a little bit of another color, maybe a little bit of rosiness to your cheeks, you can do that and blend those colors together. Be careful not to overdo the rosiness. You don't want to look like a clown. Maybe you want to do the same on the lips. You want to add a little bit more color to your lips. You can do that. Ooh, maybe got a little. Nice thing too is you can kind of just blend it if it gets too dark. All right, so now I might come back when that's a little more dry and work on the face. I'm going to work on my hair, so I'm going to use some brown for my hair. And when I do this, I try to use the tip of my brush, have it standing straight up and down so that you can see the color. Ooh, black is very dark. The nice thing too about the the crayon is it doesn't, if you push hard enough with it, it doesn't disappear, it doesn't go away. So that adds a nice little texture. I'm using the tip and I'm almost like painting each strand of hair. I'm going to continue choosing colors for different areas. You might want to wait for this to dry before you start painting things right next to it. So I think maybe what I'll do is I'll go and work on my shirt down here. Sometimes I like to lay down a color and then add paint on top, and it lets the colors spread and be a little bit lighter so you don't have quite so much work to do when you're painting. Make sure you're not leaving any gaps. All right, so I think you get the idea. I'm going to keep going. I still will focus on value. If I want something to be in shadow, I will try to make it darker. And if I want it to be lighter, add more water to make a lighter value. All right, I'm going to keep painting this whole picture. I'll put it on time lapse just so it doesn't take so long. And I'll show you what it looks like when I'm all finished. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and I might touch up some more things because sometimes as the colors dry, they will change how they look, and you may need to touch up a few things. I know that always happens with watercolors, so it's okay to let it dry for a little while and come back to it. Now, when you're finished today, this one is dry, so you can kind of see how it looks a little bit when it's all dry. When you're finished today, go ahead and take a picture of this and put it on Seesaw. I'd love to see it also on Artsonia, so it will go in the Frida Kahlo, or maybe just Kahlo inspired self-portrait. All right, I hope you've had fun. No matter which way you've done yours today, I can't wait to see it. So show it to me, and until next time, stay creative, and goodbye.